audience. Anyway, welcome to another video. Hope you liked my musical intro. Give me a moment. So, welcome to What If Deku Had the Quirk Unhealer. Now, basically, I got this idea from a movie with that exact title, so I decided to credit the movie in the title. The quirk's based off of that. So basically, well, the quirk has a few aspects to it. First aspect, very fast regeneration. Like, you can grow your arm back type stuff within a few seconds. You can be shot through the head and survive with minor inconvenience type fast regeneration. Second aspect of the quirk, damage reflect. So if you technically count for an injury Deku would have, like running him over, you will experience that injury. So if a car is full of people and someone runs Deku over, the person in the driver's seat driving the car will experience the injury. Or if someone were to move the wheel, like whoever's basically controlling the car when it hits him, who is responsible for the injury or death, will experience said injury or death, whilst Deku will survive and regenerate. Third aspect of the quirk, if you're alive, there's one rule to it. If you're alive, then Deku has the ability to technically swap, but swap physical states with you. So, he can take the massive gut in your stomach. Let's say, you've been cut in half, like by the waist down. He can come up to you, touch you, and then trade that injury for his legs. So you will get your legs back and everything from the cut down. Deku will be cut in half, and then his quirk will regenerate from the injury. So, yeah. And yes, before you ask, it also works with, like, birth defects. So if you were born crippled or born without an arm, he can still trade the crippled or missing arm, just as long as there's something physically wrong with you. Not saying that people who were born without, people who were born handicapped there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm just talking in terms of, like, physicality, as you could say. Once again, there's nothing wrong with handicapped people whatsoever. They're just like you and me. I'm just talking in terms of, like, physical body. And, well, mental illnesses and diseases like PTSD, his quirk does not affect that because that's not a physical ailment. As long as it's, like, physical, his quirk affects it. But if it's not, then, well, you're out of luck. So, yeah, that's the one limitation of his quirk. It does not affect the person's brain. Anyway, yeah. Now that I've spent like 4 minutes explaining this, I'll continue with the explanations by saying the reason I have not been able to upload lately is because school sucks. Simple as that. So I'm gonna record a few videos, and, well, yeah, I'm gonna record a few videos in bulk, and then I'm going to post them over the course of the next, 5 days. So, yeah, anyway, let's continue with the what if. Deku would be born and placed into an orphanage. Now, the reason for this is because Inko was in reality not in the best states when she has Deku, so she has to kind of, she can't look after him, so she has to drop him off. Now, growing up in this orphanage, Deku would have, well, a friend. Let's call her Sandra. Now, these two would be inseparable, going everywhere together all of the time, and they would have a dream not to become heroes, but much rather performers, dancers, people who will be on the stage. In case you're wondering who this character is, it's basically someone's take on a nice male Cruella de Vil, Mr. Deville. Now, this character is apparently a very nice character, like good Cruella de Vil, good male variant, opposite universe type stuff. But yeah, they fit, so. Anyway, yeah. Now, Deku wouldn't manifest his quirk for a few years, which would mean his friend Sandra would come down with a terrible sickness. Undisclosed anime plot disease, as one of the commenters on my videos put it. Also, I'm busy working on the Soul Fruit as we speak, that what if. And yes, I'm working on the Lunarian what if, and also the Mantis what if, and also the Ditto what if. I am very backed up on what ifs. And also the Chaos what if, and so on and so forth. Including Blood. Yeah, I am backed up on what ifs. I will not be taking suggestions for like a few days, because I am backed up on them, and I also have a few original ideas floating around in my noggin, like this one. So, yeah, I'm working on all those what ifs. Give me some time. I'm in a backlog here. Anyway, let's continue. Undisclosed anime illness that first takes her legs. Well, and that's it. It's currently infecting the entirety of her bottom half. Now, Deku would of course stay by his friend's side as often as he can, but, he has to go out, run errands for the people who run the orphanage, and so on. So one day he would be out fetching groceries, and, well, a drunk driver would come by and hit Deku. Now the driver in the car would quickly splatter against his windshield as he would crash into a building. The driver's obviously dead. He hit a toddler with a semi-truck. While Deku's damage effect would take place, and while Deku would be on the floor, his limbs broken, as there would be a snap, and a crunch and a snap as his arm forcibly rearranges itself back into perfect condition. There would be more and more snaps as his ribs would pull themselves together, and his eyeball would retract back into its socket because it had been knocked out, but not fully. It would pull itself back in as the massive bruise on his face and body would just begin to recede rapidly as, well, give me a moment. The rips and tears in his skin would begin to close up, and within a mere couple of seconds, he's fully recovered like nothing happened. He would quickly go tell the, headmaster of the orphanage. I don't know orphanage terms. I am about as dense as the sun itself. I don't know these things. Give me a moment. As well, Deku would be informed of his quirk and how it works. Well, Headmaster would take Deku to the quirk doctor's office. He would be informed of how it works. And almost immediately he bolts out of the door. Full sprint back to the orphanage where his friend Sandra is laying in the bed. She hasn't manifested her quirk yet. Deku would just sprint there, not getting tired because of his regeneration. The headmaster would pay the doctor, chase after him, and, well, Deku would end up in the orphanage, go up to Sandra's room, practically kick down the door, run to Sandra, and tap her on the head, saying, "Heal!" As Sandra would suddenly get feeling back in her legs, and she can feel it and move it, and she's like, "How did my quirk came into existence?" Deku would say as he would fall over. His legs have now been paralyzed. As well, the disease would begin to recede into Deku's feet as his quirk would begin pushing it back down towards Deku's feet. As within a few seconds, Deku would have been fully recovered. Anyway, about a year would pass. Deku and Sandra would begin practicing their routine. Anyway, a year would pass, and Sandra's quirk would come in. It would be a regeneration quirk, just like Deku's, except it would be, weaker. She wouldn't be able to sprout a new head within a minute or something like that. She can still, permanently be killed through normal means. You don't have to chuck her into the sun or drown her. Well, even then, it's a big iffy with Deku, because, like if he comes up to the surface, his quirk's gonna push the water out of his lungs and force that heart to start beating. So you have to, throw him into an underwater volcano or something like that. But yeah, Sandra's quirk is a weaker version of Deku's, but they would make it work together. Anyway, yeah, they, instead of wanting to be heroes, so on and so forth, want to be performers, and they are going to achieve that goal. Time skip, start of the anime. Insert Bakugo being an ass, just talking about how he's gonna become the #1 hero, and class cheers for him. As, he just casually says, "Besides, there's, one guy in here who could possibly become my sidekick if he wanted to." For the last time, Kachan, I said I'm gonna be a performer, and I can't exactly go back on my word now. Stay calm, Bakugo. He regrew your arm for you when your quirk first manifested. Stay calm. But yeah, if you didn't catch the subtle hint, thanks to Deku, Bakugo has his arm. So, yeah. Look, Zuko, are you sure you couldn't at least do it on the side? At least become a healing hero. Your quirk can be used very much so for good, at least on the side. Deku would ponder a bit and say, "I'll consider it, but remember, me and Sandra, we made a promise that day that we will become performers, and I'm not going back on my word." Bakugo would raise his hands and say, "Wasn't asking you to, just asking you to use your quirk, for the betterment of our society." One of the kids in the class, not kids, one of the, neck guy, the guy who can inflate his neck like a frog, just looks at Bakugo and says, "Is Bakugo being civil?" As the telekinesis girl is like, "I think he is." "Who are you and what have you done with Bakugo? Please tell me you threw him into a volcano." What? You wanna die? Oh, so it is Bakugo. That just transpires as the teacher is having a headache. Zuko, come here. I have another headache. Deku would just place his hand on the teacher's head, as Deku would feel a slight bit of pain in his head before it would disappear. "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. If you weren't in my class, I probably would have I probably would have thrown Bakugo out the window by now. Deku would just say, okay. You would give him a little salute and walk away. So then, yeah. Deku's gonna end up becoming, well, at least trying to become a healing hero on the side. You can't emphasize that enough. He is going to become one on the side, main job performer with Sandra. Anyway, Sludge Villain attack. Sludge Villain would charge at Deku and attempt to insert itself in him. Pause! Oh my goodness. Silly. But as it would try and shove its thick mass in his... Oh, this is getting worse by the second. But yeah, as it would attempt to insert its sludge in him, it would be pushed back by Deku's quirk, essentially forcing it out to mouth level. This is uncomfortable, Deku would say casually, as, the sludge villain would continue to attempt to insert itself into his mouth. Yuck. As well, All Might would pop up. I am here! Full Detroit Smash! As well, All Might would punch the sludge villain, and Deku would say, considering what just happened, I would not use the term smash here. All Might would just burst out laughing. Good one. Anyway, I have to, could you help me with the sludge villain, and I'll give you an autograph? How about, I give you a little bit of help? What do you mean? You see, my quirk allows me to get rid of permanent injuries on people, and considering you've been the #1 hero for 30, 40 years? I'm not that old. I was wondering, do you have any scars or injuries or terminal lung cancer? Joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. That you want me to deal with? All Might would just deep huff and cough out blood. Ah, shit. Look, kid, you gotta keep this on the down low, but, you see, my, #1 enemy kinda permanently crippled me. Oh, that's horrible. Anyway, I take sponsorships and, payment up front. Me and my friend are trying to start an entire performing gig, and we kind of need money, and I'm not going to become a healing hero anytime soon, so, we just need something to plateau off of. Man, you remind me of a friend of mine that's just, all business. So night-eye. Mm-hmm. Can you deal with the injury or not? Deku would look at the massive scar on All Might and just say, piece of cake. He would put his hand on All Might, as All Might would then puff up into his buff form, the injury completely gone. Deku would give him a thumbs up before coughing up blood. Oh, kid, are you okay? Yeah, just give me a moment. Give my quirk some time to work. He would say as, well, the skull that had transferred would begin to recede and close. Once again, Deku's quirk affects scars. So as it would begin to close and recede, it would eventually pop out of existence as All Might would look at it, jaw on the dirt. Oh. So you can just get rid of permanent injuries. Deku would get up and say, "Yep. Also, my quirk affects old age. Fun. Here's Metal Eater's daily fun fact. Well, medical fact. You can't die of old age, you just die of disease. As you age, your immune system decays and slowly breaks down along with your bones, which is why old people have bad hips and knees and so on. And, well, you don't die of old age, you don't die of that. You die of typically disease. So, like the common cold or something. But, well, this is both a fun fact about Deku's quirk and biology. Deku is able to trade immune systems with old people, giving them essentially brand new ones. And also a few chemicals that'll help them with their genomes. Fun fact! Here's another fun fact. Did you know that genomes are constantly bouncing around inside of your body? And, well, they have protective bumpers that stop it, but over time these bumpers wear. But certain creatures have a lot of a special chemical, which, repairs said bumpers. And it is a common theory in the, cell in how to cure old age is if you can stop the decay of the bumpers through increasing the amount of chemicals the person has, the bumpers will repair. The chemical repairs the bumpers, which will essentially slow down and or stop old aging. Now, Deku's body produces an absurd amount of said chemical, so whenever he swaps immune system, that old person gets a lot of chemical, expanding their lifespan by a large amount. He can also trade old bones. His quirk isn't exactly discriminate about what it trades. It just swaps everything. So every scar, every cut, every bruise, every broken bone, swap to Deku, which will then heal. Anyway, that's Metal Eater's daily fun fact. Anyway, back to the what if. All Might just, jaw on the dirt, looking at Deku like, "You said you wanted to become a healing hero?" Yeah, but mostly on the side. I made a promise to my friend that I would become a performer, and this was around about a time when, well, they would have died if it wasn't for my quirk. So, take it as a dying wish that of a person that somehow survived. But yeah, I'm gonna mainly be a performer. All Might's just looking at Deku like, "I don't give a shit." I don't give a shit whether you're a performer or a pilot or something like that. You're becoming a hero. But what? I'm going to get you into UA, get you into, like, the support or healing courses, something like that, or like Class 1A. That quirk of yours is absolutely absurd. I don't think it's really that special, Deku would say. All Might would just look at Deku, bend down, and say, "Not that special, my ass. Not even Recovery Girl could fix this. Not every single one of the greatest healing heroes in Japan could fix this. And you just did it so damned casually." Okay. I'ma go. You would say, walking off. Wait. All Might would quickly run up to him and give him his phone number. Give me yours. You know what? I'm not gonna question this, Deku would say, raising both of his hands up before taking out a phone number and giving it to, taking out a piece of paper from his notebook and writing it down and giving it to, All Might. All Might would salute and just walk off, like run off and pick up the unconscious remains of the sludge villain. And, well, Deku would begin using his quirk out in the street to get a bit of extra money. dealing with bad hips and old people, dealing with people who, were crippled, either youngly as a child recently or were born as crippled, you know, healing people who have caskets on, so on and so forth. Just sort of a miracle man. As a crusty man in a hood would walk up to him and say, "Hey, I hear that you can heal pretty much every injury. Am I correct?" Deku would say, "Yep, doodles. Doesn't matter if it's old, new, you know, just as long as it's something wrong with the body. I can't fix anything mental. So, just as long as it's inhibiting my ability to exist." "Yes." "Great, come with me." "My master would be delighted to see you." Deku would just look at him and say, "You know what? I've dealt with shady people before. Just learn not to question it." He would say as Shigaraki would take him into a dark alley and into a bar where a guy in a wheelchair in a creepy mask would be sitting. "Did you get him, Shigaraki?" "Yes, I did." Deku would, say, this is beginning to feel like a kidnapping." Oh, no, it isn't. I just want you to help my master over here. He got into an accident, which is why he needs to wear that, you see." "Yeah." All for one would say, "Yes, quite. I got into a gas explosion, as you would say. Well, not gas, more so villain attack, and it permanently damaged my..." Give me a moment. Okay, I'm going to continue. "It permanently damaged my respiratory system and most of my head. I actually run this bar here, you see, and haven't been able to afford proper treatment. I heard you do it for cheap." "Yeah, like $200. Considering... Wait, how much money do you got?" "Well, let's just say, I have a lot of money, if I'm being honest, but you know how the healthcare system is. Besides, most healing heroes could not fix this, but I heard about your endeavors, dealing with the crippled and all that. So, All for One would take off his helmet and, oof. The one thought that is echoing in Deku's brain as he looks at him is, dried testicle. Sorry, joke. "If you would not mind working your magic." Deku would nod, walk up to All for One, and place his hand on his head. As within seconds, All for One's eyes, hair, ears, and eyebrows would immediately return to him, as Deku would... his head would get extremely scarred, and his hair would fall out, as his quirk would immediately begin working, pushing back the scar, as Deku would fall over. His nose would emerge from the mass, allowing him to breathe again, as within seconds his hair would grow back, and he would be back to normal. Whew! Talk about an injury! Yo. Surprisingly... I wouldn't say... Anyway, let's continue. Neat. Deku would just say, pointing a finger at All for One. Oh, I wasn't expecting that to work," he would say with a bit of a sinister grin befalling his face as he would get up and will begin floating. Oh, I probably just made a mistake, didn't I? Like, you're giving some major Final Fantasy V final boss vibes. Alpha 1 would just suddenly appear in front of Deku, pick him up, and bear hug him, saying, "Oh no, you have made the best decision of your life." He would say, crushing Deku as a snapping sound would occur as Deku's ribs would break, and Alpha 1's would too. Why did my ribs just break? Sorry, my quirk can also work in reverse of what you just saw me do, so, like, any injuries that are dealt to me are dealt back to whoever deals them. There would be a snapping sound as Deku's ribs would go back into place, and he would trade ribs with Alpha One, as you could say, as Alpha One would put him down. Oh, quite the fascinating quirk. I'd love to talk to you some more, but, you know, just got my head back, so I kind of want to go around the city, see the world again. I've been like this for 20 years. Oh, that's kind of sad, actually, but see ya. Deku would quickly pause in his steps. Hey, how about instead of just paying me, me and my friend Sandra could perform here? It's the entire reason I'm doing this. You know, I'm just trying to scrounge up enough money to kickstart our careers, as you could say. All for One would quickly nod, saying, "Oh, yes, of course. Oh, I would absolutely love it if you and your friend could perform here. You know, All for One's naturally extremely grateful to finally have his head back." Shigaraki's feeling a bit jealous, but knows if he tries to decay Deku, he'll just decay himself. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I'm ending this What If off here. Goodbye, my lovely, lovely audience. I hope you had a great time, and bye-bye.